Welcome to the Down South Hunting Podcast. I'm Adam Cruz with Mike Hogman. Mike, how are you doing? Man, I cannot wait to talk to you tonight about your latest hog hunt. You liked that, didn't you? I told you I was going to bring it.
I'm sorry, man. That was really hokey.
You're not going to let me take it?
Sure, you can still use it, but I'm calling it hokey on the podcast.
Sure, man. That's hokey. I enjoyed it.
All right, good. Hokey for turkey season. So we went hog hunting last weekend. Was it 2 weekends ago? But according to podcast listener land, it might have been last weekend. And we got one, man. It was a good time. We had a couple guys that had never hunted before, or never seriously hunted before, at least. And we got one within. Well, we went the evening. Didn't see a whole lot. At least I didn't. A couple other guys saw some, but didn't get a shot off. But yeah, the next morning we set up a drive, and first drive of the day we got one, and we were probably a mile back with a big hog to drag. So that was it for the morning. Basically, we did one more quick drive, and that was it.
So I've talked to you in the past about, deer hunting. You've literally taken 20 minutes to go through and tell me about killing a doe. I introduced you as Mike Hogman, and you gave me 30 seconds on a hog kill that I've been waiting for like 2 weeks to hear about. So I'm shocked. I'm definitely shocked. I was hoping you were going to talk about some dogs, some Bowie knives, some spears. I thought it was going to get crazy down in the Florida swamp. So maybe you're just holding back on me. I don't know, man.
I was holding back a little bit. I wanted to give you a chance to test your interview chops on me. I didn't want to just blurt it all out at the beginning and listen to you for the next 5 episodes about how I talk too much about the hog hunt.
Perfect.
So fire away, man. What kind of questions you got about my hog hunt?
Well, man, first of all, like a deer drive, in the deer drives that I have been on, I usually don't have enough people for one. It's usually just like a couple of people walking 2 different sections of a strip of woods, and maybe I'm at the end of this pinch point or funnel area. Is that kind of the way a deer drive or a hog drive goes down in Florida? And I mean, you're in a swamp. It seems like, and I think it's pretty relatively flat where you're at. It just seems like the hogs would have all kinds of different places to go. What type of terrain were you in? I mean, give me a little bit more on that area.
Okay, cool. So I got to give all the credit to my buddy Josh on this. This is some public land that he's really familiar with, and I've been on the place a couple times, but not enough to really have any idea what I was doing out there. So he kind of orchestrated the whole thing, and he's got a spot back on this land where it's basically a peninsula that kind of goes out into a swamp. It's got a lake on one side, and the lake kind of goes around, real deep swampy stuff around the other side. So we basically set a couple of the guys up on the front end of the peninsula, and we walked around the outside edge to get to the back. The wind was blowing. It actually was blowing from the standers to us, which was not ideal, but the way the peninsula was set up there, we didn't really have a whole lot of choice there. So we basically went to the back. It was probably about 200 yards wide. And so we walked in a little bit and split up. And as soon as I started splitting off from the other guy, we heard something. Heard something run around. I looked over and I saw black a couple times running in between some palmetto trees. And couldn't tell whether it was more than one or not. But after a little bit of noise and, it was going different directions, we saw one clearly running off. Looked like a pretty good size hog. So Josh was like, all right, let's get behind him and start pushing. So I circled around back behind where he was going and trying to move kind of slow in case he stopped and might be able to get a shot myself. And I kind of got turned around, different area to me, and ended up getting behind Josh a little bit. So once we regrouped, we kind of spread out again. And this is probably a total of 2-3 minutes of doing this, and heard some shots go off. So the 2 guys that had never hunted before were the 2 standers, and basically they heard something coming, got ready, and they both shot at the same time. So one guy was using buckshot, the other guy was using a slug, and the guy that was using the buckshot lit him up.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, right after the shots, like, a couple seconds later, heard squealing and thought, well, that's probably pretty good. So I started moving slowly again, thinking, well, there could be more back in here. So I wanted to see if there was some more to push in there. And about 30 seconds later, I heard some hooting and hollering, and well, that was it. No more slow pushing. So kind of went out there and
no more Elmer Fudd moves.
No. So yeah, the hog crossed, the guy Josh I was with knew exactly the way it was going to work out, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, so we were, like I said, we were about a mile back, so we fashioned up a pole and tied the hog up to the pole after we gutted him out, and we took turns carrying the pole on the way back out. So got a couple cool photos. We'll have to put those on Instagram
for sure. So I'm curious if you guys have thrown this thing on the Barbie yet.
One of the guys, so the guys I went with were from a church group, and we all meet a couple times a month. So, and we always bring dinner, like any good church group does.
For sure.
So he's got a smoker at the house and smoked up a shoulder. So we had some pulled pork off of that shoulder. It was pretty good.
Nice.
So it was a fun trip overall. The night we camped out the night before on my buddy's property. He's just got a few acres next to that public land. So he had some hog from another hunt. So we threw that on the grill. So we just all kind of sat around a fire and ate some hog. It was a fun trip, man.
Man, that does sound like a lot of fun. I didn't realize you guys got into all that as well, the camping and, already eating this thing up. So interesting stuff. So I thought now might be a good time to talk a little bit about Chase the Mountain and what's going on with the hunting blog, and also what we have going on with Down South Hunting and the blog going on the website. So a couple of things. First of all, I have completely shut down Chase the Mountain, which for my wife, for other people, my mom, the few people that was reading it all the time, my boss checking up on me, that was kind of a downer for some. And I put 2 years into it, man, for the heart and soul. But really, my focus has been on Down South Hunting. I've been really wanting to get a blog portion to our website up. So what I've done is I've merged all of my old posts, or most of my old posts, and made them live on Down South Hunting. We will be republishing some of those old posts, repurposing some of those old posts.
Yeah, it's cool how we've had some guys reaching out, offering to help us out. And there's been a couple guys on our Facebook group, Hunting in the South. Patrick and Chet have both been helping us out with that. And man, the enthusiasm from our listeners just helps us out a ton. You and I are both trying to step our game up with this podcast, bring it to a new level. And we're going to need more help from listeners. So I really appreciate it. All the support we get. We've been getting more and more messages lately. And, I can't say thank you enough, because we wouldn't be able to do this without the help that we're getting right now.
No doubt. We really appreciate it.
I know one thing that you're going to be looking for is if there's any writers out there, we're going to be looking for fresh content for that blog as well. And you had some awesome stuff for Chase the Mountain. And some of that really applies well to what we're doing, but I know you're also looking for more content specifically for the South and from different states as well. So if there's somebody out there who's got some stuff written or wants to do some writing, we appreciate all the help we can get.
Yeah, definitely send us an email, sample of some work, maybe 250 words of a story or a gear review, anything like that, just to see, what your writing style is like and if it might fit our site.
So Adam, I've got a question for you.
Shoot, man.
Have you ever been walking through a retail store and had someone ask you for help, thinking you work there?
I actually have.
That happens to me probably 2 or 3 times a week. I don't know what it is, but I really look like I work at a retail store. So, for work, I wear a golf kind of polo shirt and khaki pants. That's kind of what I'm, go out and make my sales calls in, dress casual, I guess, maybe. So I'm going in a lot of dirty shops and stuff, but also sometimes I got to go in, go in the front office and meet with a purchasing agent or something like that. So kind of standard attire. And I have a lot of blue golf shirts for one reason or another. Either I buy them too much or my wife or something. So, man, if I go in a Walmart or a Lowe's or a Best Buy, any store during the day, while I'm at work, I will get stopped like 2 or 3 times, but people think I work there.
I already knew why you were getting stopped before you told me why you were getting stopped. I've seen how you dress. You look just like an employee in a retail store.
Yeah.
You look very knowledgeable too. You kind of like
Yeah.
have this look on your face, like
I look approachable. Yeah.
You do look
You know, sometimes I'll just help people out. Oh yeah, let me take you over to the aisle where that, if you know.
I actually have had that happen at Bass Pro for whatever reason. I've had it happen at Bass Pro.
I wish I was like, wow. You know, usually it's like I'll be like a Walmart or something. Like the other day, I went in to buy some protein bars for lunch. So I wish I was in a Bass Pro while I was wearing my work clothes more often. Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot of reason to go in there. That's, you know, kind of a quick trip in there. Anyway, I was just wondering, maybe there's some other listeners out there who share my struggle.
What else we got going on?
Man, we got a good interview coming up with a guy out of Georgia hunting the mountains. So something that I have zero experience with, and you know, some different things to learn about, and just the way things are done up in North Georgia.
And we have on the phone with us Hunter Galloway from North Georgia. Hunter, thanks for coming on the Down South Hunting Podcast. How are you doing today, and how has your deer season went up to this point?
Thanks, Adam, man. It's good to be here. I appreciate y'all reaching out to me and let me come on. It's going, it went pretty well. It ended back in January 14th, if I'm not mistaken, here in Georgia. I had an awesome season. Usually I base my season upon, or how it went, how many, I based upon like how many animals I saw during the whole season. And I saw a pretty good amount of animals all season. I'd rate it probably 6 or 7 out of 10. You know, I killed a really good 8 on public land in North Georgia off Chattahoochee National Forest. My lovely girlfriend, she killed one during rifle season on our small tract of private land. And I killed 2 does during December on Oconee National Forest. That is a different type of national forest, but it's in East Georgia. But it went pretty well. I ain't complaining none.
Oh, good deal. Now, did you get all of these deer on video or just some of them?
Yes, sir. I got I killed, well, actually my girlfriend killed the first deer of the season. I actually stepped back and let her kill a deer before me, surprisingly, but you know, she's getting into hunting, you know, how that goes. You know, I really like putting people before me and me being behind the camera, but she killed.
He must not have been too big.
Yeah. yeah. She killed a 9-pointer and I got really good footage. It's on my YouTube channel. And in November 25th, if I'm not mistaken, I killed a really tall 8-pointer on Chattahoochee National Forest. Got good footage of it. And December, I got one of them does on of the kill shot. And actually, the second doe I killed, I was just out walking around, and I just happened to walk up on her, and I shot her.
So have you primarily hunted national forest land your whole hunting career?
It varies. You know, there's multiple WMAs, wildlife management areas in Georgia. I hunt a lot of wildlife management areas, north, south, east, and west Georgia, literally, you know. And there's Chattahoochee National Forest, which is mainly in North Georgia, and there's Oconee National Forest, which is in East Georgia. You put Oconee National Forest and Chattahoochee National Forest, there's nearly 1 million acres in Georgia of that land. But yeah, I grew up mainly hunting Chattahoochee National Forest along with a lot of WMAs, but I got some really awesome spots on Chattahoochee National Forest in northern Georgia that I hunt same time every year. You know, I kind of got it figured out as to when they rut and when I need to step. And you know, it's a long walk back in there to them spots too.
Can you kind of give us the rundown of how you went from, I'm sure the first several times you went hunting, like you said, when you were 11, you were right next to your dad, and then maybe started, you know, then you sit in the stand by yourself and to the point now where I assume you're, you know, scouting on your own, finding your own stand sites and that kind of stuff. Can you kind of walk us through your progression with that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, like I said, I killed my first deer when I was 11. And, you know, of course, my dad was still teaching me a little bit here and there. He was still sitting with me. And it wasn't, you know, actually later on, after I killed my deer with my bow, that was in September. In October, I killed the biggest buck of my life. And it's still very close to one of my biggest bucks of my life. And I was with my dad then. And, you know, the next year I was by myself. You know, he'd help me a little bit. You know, he's like, you got this figured out now. You know, you go scout. you find your spot, you hang your stand. He'd still help me out here and there, but I was by myself, and it just took off after that. I learned a lot from him about scouting. By then, I kind of knew what I was doing. I still to this day am learning, but it's just all about scouting.
So let's, I guess, get into scouting some. How do you start? Let's start now because the season's just ending. Are you doing any winter scouting after the season's over to get ready for next season, or do you typically wait until right before the season?
Oh man, it's never ending. It's literally never ending. As soon as the season ends, I'm out. I'm out there. I am scouting, searching for sheds. If I got skunked on a hunt, wherever I may have been, I'm gonna be out there scouting, trying to find a better spot for that area. Looking deeper into it. As to why I got skunked on that. Finding new areas, it's year round, man. And especially when it comes to, growing season, I run a lot of trail cameras on public land. You can't bait, and that's what really, you can't bait you can't put bait in front of your trail camera just to get pictures on public land. But, that's what makes it hard. You just set cameras out and it's just hard to get pictures. So that's what makes it even harder. But like I said, I run a lot of trail cameras out there, especially during the growing season for bucks, June, July, August. And it's just never ending, It's just always you can improve on something. I'm all the time out there scouting, looking for new spots. It's just, like I said, it's never ending, for me. That's my parents. I'm all the time out there. I'm gone during the summer 24/7 almost out there looking around or checking trail cameras, setting them, boots on the ground. And, another tactic I use for scouting is my laptop, and I get on Google Earth. I use a lot of Google Earth Pro maps, and man, I've used that to my advantage big time. Just finding these new areas. Like I need to go here. I drop 1,000,000 pins on Google Earth Pro. It's like I'm going here to scout, and I go there and scout. And 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of sign there, and I'll set a camera. That's just a large tactic I use is maps.
When you're on Google Earth, what are you looking for? Are you looking for like saddles? Are you looking for different types of terrain that would interest you? Or are you looking more at the aerial side of it, where you might find some funnels and pinch points?
It all depends, Adam. Where it is what I look for. North Georgia, we'll start there. On maps, it's mountains, basically. I mean, it's mountains. I think it's you that you're from Tennessee, and it's pretty rough terrain up there.
Oh yeah, I drive through there all the time, and I'm not there's a lot of mountain country for people that are not familiar with it. Above Atlanta, it's pretty hilly, mountainous terrain.
Right?
It's pretty
yeah,
tough.
yeah. Oh man, it is tough. A lot of people never understand that. Them South Georgia bunch got it made. They got big deer, but you step
Landers.
Yeah, you step foot. I'm not knocking them or nothing.
You might have it made if you're not into funnels and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm definitely not knocking, nothing down south, but it's very hard in North Georgia. But like I said, North Georgia, I usually look for pinch points. I call them, me and Dad, we're kind of, I guess, call old school. We call it leads. We call them leads, which is basically tops. Pinch points that run down in the bottoms. Typically they like to run those tops in the mountains. And it depends on time of the year. Here we go. There's a lot of different things go into it. It depends on time of the year is what I look for. Also, early season, if I'm trying to hunt a buck, I look for white oaks, acorns, bedding. Them, September, October, them bucks don't move much. They're going to lock down on a lot of food sources. White oaks, red oaks. There's a lot of red oaks up there, and chestnut oaks. And during the rut, basically, I just go out and find buck sign. Basically, they still run tops too, leads, and there's a lot of big bowls. I call them bowls, and it's just basically big bowls is all it is in the mountains. It just looks like a stadium in there. Them are really good spots to hunt also, because you can see forever when the leaves are off. So like I say, it just depends on time of the year is what I look for. That's basically what I look for in the mountains.
When you're doing your postseason scouting, are you focused on bedding areas and then marking those and then going back and finding out like what trees are actually dropping acorns like during the early season? Is that your tactic? It sounds like that's what I'm kind of putting together.
Yeah. That's a lot of what I do. During the summer, I like to find, thick areas, pine. There ain't, like I said, middle Georgia, kind of where I call it, well, it really ain't middle Georgia, just west and east of Atlanta. I hunt a lot of that. You know, they love pines in that area. You know, pines is what they love during the summertime. And, you know, that's kind of what I focus on early season is pine tree or just pines because they love to bed in them. And I got multiple buck pictures in pines. You know, North Georgia, there's a lot of laurel, laurel bushes. I call them laurel bushes up there. And they like to stay in them laurel thickets, and big bucks love to stay in them laurel thickets early. You know, they bed down until the rut. Them big boys, they ain't dumb by no means. And, early season, I like to focus on laurel. And I killed a buck back in last year, 2016 season. I filmed this one on Chattahoochee National Forest. I killed one with my bow first day of the hunt. And, you know, I've never been in there before. I was on the top with one white oak tree, and it was dropping. And guess what? Right at daylight, he was under that tree, and it wouldn't have been long, and he'd went back. And I actually went back after the hunt. I never scouted that area. I went back, and there was a laurel thicket right there below that white oak tree that he had came from that morning. He was bedded in it. I just happened to catch him coming out of that laurel thicket feeding, and he would have went right back to that laurel thicket, you know, not long after daylight. And I just happened to catch him.
So on that particular buck, I mean, that was the first time you were in there. You hadn't had much experience looking for different food sources up until that point. So you were going in, if I'm gathering this right, you found a tree that's dropping, and then that's why you set up that particular day, and it just happened to be the right place, the right time. Did I catch all that right?
Yes. That is actually one of my largest hunts. That was the first deer I ever filmed, period. That was the first deer season I filmed, and that was the first deer I ever filmed, deer kill I've ever filmed. And, that's just one of the most craziest hunts I've ever had. It was on Chattahoochee National Forest in North Georgia, as far as you can get, almost Tennessee, Georgia line. And, I've never stepped foot on this property before. Don't know what made me step foot on this property. Actually, we was on vacation, and we rented a cabin in an area I've never hunted before. And there was Chattahoochee National Forest right across the road. And it's like, well, all right, well, I'm going to hunt this week. And sure enough, I stepped off the side of the road steep. Boy, it was steep. And, you know, I walked probably a mile back there, a lot of chestnut oaks dropping. It's like, I want to find a white oak tree. They love white oaks. Found one white oak tree on a very large top. Hung my stand. Next morning, got in there late. 10 minutes later, there's two bucks came in. One was a really good 8. And the other one was, smaller than him, 8. And it just came together. I had my camera on him, and, you know, I shot him. It's easy as that. You know, what's even crazy, I've never stepped foot on that property before. I mean, I may have got lucky, but then again, that's when it kind of comes into knowing what you're looking for, you know, food sources, especially during October. It was October 1st. And, you know, you just got to know what you're looking for and match the time of the year that it is as to what you look for, if that makes sense.
So when you were walking back to find that area, were you staying on a specific elevation line, or are you staying on the ridge tops, or were you walking down to the bottom and back up? How were you deciding where to scout?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, actually, you know, it was very steep in there. That's probably one of the most steepest places I have personally hunted in my life. You know, Dad hunts steep areas. He said that's steep in there. And, you know, of course, them bucks love steep areas like that. They know they ain't going to be hunted, especially on public land. And sure enough, I ain't found no person sign in there yet. And I've hunted it, you know, since then. And like I said, you know, I didn't really focus on a certain area. You know, I hung up kind of high on the mountainside, and I noticed there's a lot of acorns, and I found a couple trails. It's like, well, I'm gonna go a little bit further. You know, my buddy hung a stand actually on a top before me, and he's hunting chestnut oaks. You know, I just hung kind of high around the ridges. You know, it's just up, down in there, up, down, up, down. You can pull up on a top and you drop up into a bottom, pull up onto a top. You know, I just pulled up onto a top, and turns out that's actually the highest point in there, in that set of wood, you know, and that's actually the highest point around there. And I just happened to be on that point, which is where that buck was. You know, early season, they like to be on them high points, you know, and like I said, bedding come into it too. But, you know, I kind of like to hang high, you know, anytime of the year. I like to hang a little bit higher, you know, instead of dropping off into those bottoms. I don't much like hunting bottoms in the mountains, you know, not too often anyways.
You better be careful describing that spot too much. You must have company.
Well,
company in that spot next. So maybe we won't be talking about where you took your vacation at. But
yeah. Well, the way I look at it, it all looks the same in there, so it's going to be hard to find that spot.
That's kind of the way it is in the mountains, I guess.
Right.
Hey, when you're entering these areas, do you enter from the top or the bottom?
Good. That is actually a very good question. That's a tough one to answer, actually. My spots vary. This spot where I killed that 8-point in 2016 season, not we ain't talking about the one I killed in 2017 season, but 2016 season, the one I killed my bow, I entered from the top side. And that's another thing, scouting. Scouting comes a lot in, has a lot to do with that. That's why you got to scout these areas and find out which way the best way is to walk in, if that makes sense. And, at that point in time, I didn't know which way was the best way to walk in. And I just got pure lucky, on that first day, just happened to walk in the right way. And it just came together. But, I went back in there and scouted. And actually, that was the best way to walk in, is the way I walked in, when I killed that deer. That was one of the best ways you could have walked in for that. But, it depends on the area. Sometimes I walk in from the bottom. Sometimes I walk in from the top. It's literally 50-50. I got multiple spots.
I think one good thing about doing that, just walking in blind like that, is if it's an unpressured area, obviously those deer were not expecting to see any humans around there. So, just going in like that, yeah, it's part luck. But the fact that you were just going in blind like that, you weren't giving those deer any kind of warning ahead of time. So,
Right.
Unless they had been through that area the night before, you caught them completely by surprise.
Right. Yeah, I really do think, actually, the summer after that, or actually the turkey season, I killed them on October 1st. We went back in there in March, and we actually turkey hunted that because we found a lot of turkey sign in there during when I killed that buck. We would hear them fly down every morning. We went back in there turkey hunted, and we surprisingly, they was henned up. We surprisingly didn't kill any turkeys, but what's even crazier, them turkeys was roosted on that big giant lead that I killed that buck off of. Every morning they would go back there, and we just couldn't connect on any of them. So, it's a really good area where I'm at. A lot of turkeys, a lot of deer. Knock on wood, we ain't found no bears in there yet. I hope to God we don't. But, it's just turned out to be a really good area. Ran trail cameras in there. Ain't really had nothing amazing on camera. A lot of deer, but, it's just when you find that area, you're going to hunt it for years. And we got areas all across North Georgia, that we hunt the same time every year. Like I was saying, like one week, we pick a week in November. It's like, we're going there and hunting, and we do every single year. It's like a year, like a annual trip basically. And we got all them areas for that.
Sorry, y'all caught me on mute. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So out of these millions, obviously this spot just happened to be where you're taking some family vacation, but these other areas you hunt, out of these millions of acres or over 1 million acres, how are you deciding what areas to key in on? Are you choosing areas that are just closest to where you live, or are there certain types of habitat you look for? How are you picking a spot?
Well, I basically based upon my family's hunted it for years. My dad was born and raised in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is Fannin County, North Georgia. That's Tennessee, Georgia line up there. And, he grew up hunting that. So was my uncle. He grew up hunting that. And we just, like I said, I grew up hunting these areas. We always go back to them same areas, and I just ain't never changed. Sometimes I go and find these new areas, just like I did when I killed that 8 with my bow. Sometimes I go and find these new areas, but we basically just focus on the same areas every single time.
Are you typically hunting on your own or with a buddy, or do you usually go out with your dad? How do your hunts usually work? And are you staying at your house or somewhere else?
Actually, my grandparents, which is Dad's mom and dad, Granny, I call her Granny. She passed away back during October, if I'm not mistaken. But Grandpa's still alive. We stay at his house a lot when we're up there. And we're up there very often during deer season. And we bunk at his house when we hunt these areas. Any of these areas from his house ain't 30, 40 minutes away, So, sometimes we even camp. They're designated camping areas up there, especially on these national forests. They even got camping places like campsites where you can camp. And sometimes every year we do camp up there and, just to get away and have a hunting trip with me and Dad. Sometimes it's me and Dad. Sometimes me, dad, and my uncle, my cousin. It depends on the time of the year. We have I guess you could say, annual hunt trip last weekend in November into the 1st of December. And it's on National Forest up there. And we go up there and camp every year. We got a pop-up camper, and my uncle's got I guess you could say a pull-behind camper, but a pretty big one. And we go up there every year, and we hunt a week, 10 days, actually.
So when y'all are doing that 10-day hunt, what's your typical day look like as far as like when obviously start hunting at daybreak? But are you scouting midday, and when you getting back in the stand, do you sit all day? How do you do that?
Oh, yeah. 10 days we hunt. It all depends on the weather, man. That weather up there, we have seen it rain, sleet, and snow in one day. That weather is the most incredible thing up there, and you can see everything in one day. So it bases upon, it depends on the weather, basically. But if we got 10 days good weather, we're going to be out there. This is where we really walk far. This is one of our areas where it's far back in there. I mean, 2.5 miles, 3 miles back there. We'll start walking at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we won't be out there in our stand until dang near daylight. So, we start walking early, and we will sit, from daylight all the way until probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening, bring snacks. But we got to start walking out, because you don't want to be stuck up there in the dark. Even though you walk in there in the dark, you don't want to be shooting the deer at dark, and trying to pack him out at the same time, because we don't drag. We hang deer up, got big trash bags, we butcher them up and pack them out up there. You don't want to be doing that in the dark at 9 o'clock at night. We hunt till about 3 o'clock and start walking out. We won't be out till dark. So, one of those deals. It's very, very interesting. People call us crazy for doing it, but that's what you got to do to kill those big deer up there.
Do you usually bring your stand in on your back like day one, and then you'll hunt the same stand several days in a row?
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's exactly what we do. We hunt these same areas, man. We never change. It's like this specific 10-day hunt, we never move. Everybody's got their little area. We hunt. I go to my same spot every year and hang my stand, hunt 10 days. Dang near daylight to dark every day, depending on the weather. And, daylight to roughly 3 o'clock. Sometimes somebody shoots about 3 o'clock, and you really won't be out till dark. But like I was saying, yeah, we hunt these same areas. And, we rarely move. We'll find some years we've come up there and we'll never even see an animal up there 10 days straight. It's rough on us. But sometimes we'll go up there and never see an animal that whole trip. And sometimes, some years we'll go up there and we'll see 20 deer, it just depends on the weather deer before that hunt. If there's a lot of snow, it'll push these deer off into the bottoms. They won't be up high. We hunt high. I mean, like very high up there. I ain't going to say what elevation we're at, because, you figure that out. Somebody will be able to guess that, because it's probably one of the highest places up there. But, like I was saying, it depends on the weather, but we always hunt these same areas. Carry our stand in and carry it back out the last day. And we're carrying a climbing stand, hanging on that same tree. Like I said, Dad's been hunting up there for 30, 40 years up there. And, we got these same areas that we hunt. And I climb the same tree every year. Dad climbs the same tree every year. And we just hang out. That's the only thing you can do is sit there and wait. A lot of patience to mountain hunt up there, because, like I said, you may see an animal and you may not. I mean, we've went plenty of years where you just never see a squirrel or a bird. It's tough on us up there. That's what's hard about mountain hunting, especially in the area up there.
Do you worry about your wind direction at all when you're setting up, or is that something in the mountains where you'll get a consistent wind, or you don't know where the deer are going to come from, so you don't worry about the wind?
The wind is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very consistent up there, especially in the hole. I call it a hole. It's kind of a big bowl where I hunt in that area every year. It's kind of like a bowl, and it no matter what it is, that wind blows very consistent up there. And I forgot which direction it is up there, which way it blows, but it's just always consistent up there. And I tell you what, the wind never stops blowing up there. I don't know what it is about the area we hunt, but the wind never stops blowing. It'll be blowing 20 miles per hour, it seems like, every day up there. And then you'll go off into the bottoms and there ain't no wind. It's like, why is the wind just blowing on us? And, it's just, like I said from the beginning, it's like, it's got weather of its own up there. It's just the craziest place we've hunted, but, we've killed these big bucks up there in that area. I killed a 130-inch 10-pointer in 2014 out of that spot, and I ain't saw a deer since, And I like I said, Dad says we're due. Every year we go up there, we're due to kill one. My uncle's killed 140-inch deer up there just around the mountainside. Dad's killed 120 right around the mountainside. It's just the same area why we keep hunting, because we know there's big deer there, and we've killed them consistently over 30 years worth, 40 years worth. It's just that area that you stick to. We always stick to, and we know the potential's there. And like I said, we're due. My spot's due. Killed him in 2014 and killed one in 2014. It's due for another one to grow up in there, and I know he's there. He'll be back through one of these days. We've killed tremendously old bucks. That 10-point I killed was aged 4.5. That's not amazingly old, but my uncle's killed them. Looked at jawbone, and there'll be no teeth in them. 8, 9, 10 years old. We've killed them mature up there, and I know there's been deer up there that's never even seen people before. It's died of old age and just die. Because they got so old.
There's a lot of studies that show that deer, because of pressure, will avoid deer stands and areas and that kind of stuff. Have you considered at all maybe moving your stand around a little bit, trying to catch them by surprise, moving to different areas?
We have, yeah. I mean, we always got those backup spots. Sometimes I get impatient. It's just hard to move off those spots that we always hunt. Same tree every year. Like I said, we hunt the same tree every year, same spot. It's always hard to move off them spots. But sometimes I have done that. Sometimes I will hunt a total different area down the mountain. I've done that before, and sometimes you'll see them come through up the mountain. It's like, dang, man, I shouldn't move. So that's why we basically just never try to move, because I've second guessed my dad always says, never second guess yourself. And I've done that before, and I've been screwed so many times over that, So I always try to never second guess myself. I mean, like I said, we got these spots all across Chattahoochee National Forest. Different counties worth, but like I said, this spot we're talking about on this 10-day hunt, we always hunt the same areas, same spots.
So, Hunter, tell me about some of your freelance work with North American Whitetail, Georgia Outdoor News, and then we'll get into your YouTube stuff. And I'm really curious how you got started into writing.
I had an article published in the North American Whitetail magazine. That's a very, very large magazine all across the U.S., But like I said, I had an article published. I think his name is Gordon Whittington. He's one of the pretty big people in North American Whitetail. He came to me in 2014, asked pretty early, a few months before it was going to be in the magazine, and he came to me and asked if I would do a article or write up an article about mountain hunting. Strategies I use. Just how I go about mountain hunting, because, he saw my pictures of bucks I've killed in the mountains. He said, you're pretty good at your age. I wasn't, but like, what I've been in 14, no, I've been 15 or 16 years old, 16-year-old writing an article for North American Whitetail. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, you don't see that often, and, I wrote it up, I got my dad to help, got into it, what I need to add there. I mean, I knew I was adding, but, you can always have help writing. He helped me out with it. I've done a heck of an article, sent in pictures, and sent it to Gordon. A few months later, sure enough, it was published in the magazine, North American Whitetail. I forgot which month. There's a do-it-yourself issue of the North American Whitetail. I forgot which month it is, but it's like a do-it-yourself where they take in all these articles from hunters like I was doing, send it in, and they publish it. And like I say, it was in that issue. Forgot which month. I think it's August or maybe. But anyways, it was published. And man, it wasn't just weeks after that. Maybe, I mean, it just went on for months. There was just people messaging me over Facebook. Man, I saw your article about public land hunting. I'm from like West Virginia, Tennessee. I mean, that helped me a lot. You're only however old, 16 years old. He's like, you're only 16 years old and you're one heck of a hunter. I got just tons of messages about that. People from like Kansas and stuff all across the U.S. just messaged me. And, I mean, I just got blew up over it. And, it was just nonstop. It was freaking awesome, how that just happened. It just blew up. I guess seeing this kid, killing all these big bucks on public land in North Georgia mountain. Not a lot of people know about public land hunting in North Georgia unless you actually do it. But I guess it just hit them right, and I guess you wouldn't say viral, but I mean, it just was awesome. But right after that, I got noticed by, there's a local magazine in Georgia, Georgia Outdoor News magazine. It's a very big hunting, fishing, outdoor magazine in Georgia. And they noticed, my article in there, it kind of just progressed over time. I'd done a few little articles about like trapping, coyote trapping. I do a little coyote trapping. I'd done an article about that in there. I submitted it, just a few articles about myself, maybe a few hunting articles. And wasn't long after that, and they was assigning articles for me to do for them, just, record catfish, like, well, call up this guy.
Can you tell us how you got into videoing your hunts and your YouTube channel?
The first year I started freelancing for the Georgia Outdoor News magazine, I got assigned an article I actually found this guy. His name is Garrett Yates. He films his hunts. He's from Ringgold, Georgia. North Georgia. I don't hunt in that area, but he's from North Georgia, and he films his hunts. And I ran across this video of him killing this like 150-inch deer, self-filming it. And he killed this 150-inch deer on film in Meriwether County, which is South Georgia. And it's like, that's pretty cool. I'll see if, the people at GON will let me write a little article on this, because, that's pretty cool. Share his video, get some views on it, do a little article on it. So I did that. It's like, that just kind of hit me right. I talked to Garrett over the phone. He told me how fun it is filming, his hunt, self-filming and stuff. And he told me a setup, probably wasn't even 2 or 3 weeks later. It's like, I want to do that. Garrett's the one that just hit me right. And, it's like, I want to do what he's doing. I want to film my hunts. The way I looked at it, I want to do this for myself, memories. I may share a couple of the hunts, that's just the way I was looking at it then. I'm just kind of do it for myself, for memories, look back on it, rewatch it. So, I saved up my money, and bought me a little camera setup. I guess I spent probably about $400 or $500 on it, not a tremendous amount, just, then I was using a Canon HF R500, a Canon camera, and I just bought a little cheap tripod, and I think I started out turkey season. First time I started filming was turkey season. 2016 turkey season. That's when I first started filming. It just fell between, deer season and turkey season. So I just started turkey season. Bought me a little camera. Bam! Right off, first time I ever stepped into the woods with my camera. Never even filmed before. I doubled up on two Jakes. First time I ever stepped into the woods with a camera. I doubled up, filmed it all. It's like, that's gonna stick. That just hit me right once again. And I decided then I'm gonna start filming on my hunts. I thought it was gonna be hard self-filming. I self-film on my hunts. I ain't got a cameraman. And it just hit me right. It's like, I'm gonna start filming all my hunts. And right after that, killed another turkey on film. Right after that, filmed my buddy killing a turkey. It's like, I'm gonna upgrade my camera setup, this coming summer for deer season. So I upgraded my camera setup. I spent, good Lord Almighty, I don't even want to get into how much I spent on that. I spent a lot of money on my camera setup that I got now. I spent over $1,000 on it, and that is a Canon XA10 camera, and I got a Muddy Outfitter camera arm to attach my camera to while I'm in the tree deer hunting. And of course I got a Manfrotto, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Manfrotto, that's what I call it, tripod. I spent a lot of money on my camera setup, and it just stuck, man. I love, there ain't nothing more I love than filming my hunts, especially after turkey season. I filmed all them turkeys, went straight to deer season. I filmed the 8 with my bow, filmed a rifle kill in October right after that. Filmed my buddy killing a decent 8 with his bow, biggest buck with his bow. I just filmed all kinds of stuff. Then next season, I tagged out on turkeys in 2017 turkey season. I tagged on turkeys, filmed a young girl that I took out hunting. She doubled up on turkeys, and filmed my buddy killing turkey. It's just been, nonstop. It's just the memories behind it that come, it's just, I love doing it. There's nothing else I love more than just filming hunts. You know, I post all my hunts up on my YouTube channel, and actually, I got a little show going on Carbon TV. It's called Lone Pursuit. Lone Pursuit. You know, the way I got that name is because I'm by myself. You know, it's only me doing it. No cameraman. It's just me. You know, only me doing everything. So I got a little show on Carbon TV going on too. You know, along with my YouTube channel where I post up my hunts. It's just been a great turnout on that.
So what's with the Carbon TV show? How many episodes are you out to, and how often do you expect releasing them and that kind of stuff?
Actually, right now I only got one season going on, and I don't think there's but actually, yeah, there is 8 episodes. Just the first season. You know, that's just the first season that I basically started. You know, the first set of turkey hunts, and my first deer season that I filmed is on there, which is the 8. I killed my bow, and then. Actually, 2017 turkey season is on there. Just a few hunts from that, just of me. And season 2, hopefully, will be coming out. I need to edit up some videos and send in season 2, which is going to be this. I call it this past turkey season, which is going to be 2017 turkey season. I keep forgetting it's 2018, but it's going to be hopefully this deer season and 2018 turkey season. Right after that, I'm gonna start sending in hunts for season 2.
Okay. You just mentioned that you had a rifle kill that you got on film, and I know I've seen that video, and that was a good buck as well. Can you walk us through that story and how that hunt went as far as starting at the scouting and the spot and that kind of stuff?
Now, we talking about the one that I killed this past season or 2016 season, the year I killed the one with my bow?
I think the one I'm talking about was the rifle one. I thought that was like a couple years ago, but
okay, yeah, it was like a real tight rack one, tall.
Yeah, it was like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, it's a 9 point. Yeah. That's actually on a WMA 20 minutes from my house in Paulding County, Dallas, Georgia. And it, like I said, that's another WMA we have hunted for years. And I'm not going to say which WMA it is, but say it's 20 minutes from my house, you probably guess. But I ain't gonna give it, specific.
Don't
name.
Give us the coordinates.
Yeah, there's a lot of WMAs around the house, but I ain't gonna say which one it is. But like I said, that's WMA. Once again, Dad's hunted for years, and this is actually an area I picked out, and I didn't find it until that year. I bow hunted the heck out of it during bow season, and saw a bunch of does, had a few good bucks on camera, and never had the one I ended up killing on camera. So there's actually a parent-child hunt. That was my last year I could hunt. I think I was 17. I think it's 17 and younger. You can hunt a parent-child hunt, a specific parent-child hunt. And that was last year I could hunt it. It's like, well, heck, I might as well just go out there and, hang my stand out there where I've been hunting, during bow season, just hunt all day. So, I went out there, found multiple scrapes. We're talking October 15th, 14th. 13th, 14th, 15th, I think. And I was finding scrapes everywhere. It's like, I need to hunt this creek bottom. There's acorns, there's a creek, and there's scrapes. What else could what else? I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect setup. I was feeling confident about seeing a buck. So I hung my stand, came back next morning. I set up a good hour before daylight. I was there early. And, I sat there. I actually you got to have an adult with you, 18 years and older. And actually, it was my buddy that actually came, and he was just sitting on the ground behind me, like inside, like maybe 75 yards behind me inside, because you got to have an adult inside with you. You know how that goes. It's just the rules of the hunt. So, I was sitting there. I grunted a few times right at daylight, put a little urine out, and wasn't seeing no deer. And I grunted one last time about 10 minutes later at 11 o'clock. I watched a buck come up Logging Road. It's like, that's a decent buck. I might take a crack at him. He came toward me, and he hung a right, my right, and went up toward the road. It's like, well, he's going to get away from me if I don't, do something about this. So I set my camera up, filmed. I saw one hole I was hoping he'd walk through, and I set my camera up on it. And, I stopped him, and sure enough, he just happened to stop in that hole, and I dropped the hammer, and I could tell he had a real tall tines, and, he ran 40 yards and dead. Super nice 9-pointer. Never saw him or had him on camera, but, it was just a perfect place, perfect creek bottom, plenty to eat, not pressured, no people in there. And what's even crazier, I killed him in October, went back in November. They had a November hunt. They got specific dates on this WMA that you can hunt. It's only like 3 or 4 day hunts that you can hunt it. So they had that parent-child hunt, and I went back in November on the November rifle hunt. And, I killed a heck of an 8-pointer out of the same tree. I didn't film that one, though. It was out of camera light. That eats me up about that. But, I killed a super nice 8-pointer out of that same tree. Rubs and scrapes still all in there. It's like you kill one buck and another one moves in, and he walked the same logging road and walked the same route, and I shot him dang near in the same spot. You find these good areas, and it's going to keep producing.
Man, I think that's a good segue to wrap it up. And I just want to say that you kind of got me pumped up wanting to pull off a mountain hunt for whitetails. I've been out in Colorado and mountain mule deer. I've hunted elk. And some of what you're talking about and experiencing sounds very familiar, especially like the camaraderie of camp and that sort of thing. So enjoyed the stories.
Where can people find you on social media if they're interested in seeing your YouTube, your social media stuff, and your show on Carbon TV? Where's the best place to find all that?
Yeah, man. All you gotta do, my Instagram is, you can put @Hunter.Galloway, Galloway. That's my Instagram. Typically on my Instagram, I have all my links to everything, but on YouTube, my username is just my name, Hunter Galloway, HUNTERGALLOWAY. You can just type in my name. It should pop up the first one on there. You'll see it because it's the only hunting page on there. And then on Carbon TV, they got a Carbon TV app. You can download the app. You can search Lone Pursuit, LONE Pursuit, and that's my show. You can watch up all them episodes. That's all the social media I got. Facebook, I guess you search Hunter Galloway on there, and that's the Facebook. But other than that wraps it up.
Well, thanks so much for coming on with us, Hunter. I had a good time talking to you.
Yes, sir, buddy. I appreciate y'all.
Have a good one.
You too, buddy.
Thanks again, Hunter. Have a good night.